I have met people who have completely wrong ideas about deafness and deaf people. They think deaf people can do nothing. They can't hear, that means they can't do anything. And sometimes it hurts my feelings because I want to show them, I want to prove it to them that I can do everything I want to do.
My mom always told me that deafness isn't in the ear, but it's in the heart. And my mom always told me I was kind of deaf at heart because I can hear fine, but I act like a deaf person.
What do I hope for my daughter? Ooh, that's loaded because she's a female, she's bilingual. My want for her is that she has joy in her life, that she finds her place.
When Amanda was maybe 6 years old, one time as I am putting her to bed, she tells me, "Mom, I love your hands. They sign to me."
Well, I think that many hearing people don't realize that there is a deaf culture. You know, for many hearing people, it's like they don't realize there's a whole community going on right under their nose.
Jessica is 12 years old, and she uses 2 languages, often at the same time. Her parents are deaf. Amanda is 15 years old and deaf. Her parents and sister are hearing. In the United States, there are millions of people like them. Some live with sound, some live with what is called silence, communicating through American Sign Language. Within the culture of deaf people and the culture of hearing people, there is common ground. And there are serious differences. Living between these 2 worlds of sound and silence are people like Jessica and Amanda. They represent the many people and moments in daily life that often go unobserved. This is their story.
Dear Father, thank you for a lot of food. Thank you for having us all here together. Thank you for everything. Please bring Joshua safe. Just name him.
So I'm a CODA, but I'm a KODA, which means kid of deaf adult. But if you're already an adult, then you're CODA, which means child of deaf adult. And I don't know, being a CODA is just having to live with deaf parents and having to go back and forth to hearing world and deaf world and always interpreting for your parents. Always thinking about I don't know, you always have to have everywhere you go, you always have to interpret for your parents and everything.
Well, I have 2 brothers. I have Jacob, who's 17, and then I have Joshua, who's 15. Both my brothers are hearing. My mom's Julie, my dad's David. Learned sign language as our first language, and English as their second. I learned to sign a lot, how most kids learn to talk. It was my first language. Both my parents were just signing around me, and I just picked it up. And I learned it when I was about 6 months. All right, so near my focus, you know where it's pink? Okay, you know where it's pink?
Yeah.
It has the same thing green.
Damn.
I find it hard for going through both worlds because it's kind of hard because when I go home, I have to sign all the time, and I either turn off my voice most of the time or I talk and sign. But then when I go to school, I have to just talk, and there's no sign language at all.
I was born deaf. And my parents found out I was deaf when I was about 2 years old.
I also have another daughter. Her name is Bianca. Who's hearing. Martin is my husband.
So, deaf culture. To define that is difficult. Many people, especially hearing people, struggle to understand what deaf culture means. We don't hear things, so we're very visual. That's what we rely on completely. We use sign language and movement and facial expressions.
ASL is American Sign Language, and it is a visual language. It's different than English. It has its own syntax and its own grammar. So it's very visual. It's a beautiful, very visual language.
Well, for ASL, it's like, people think it's just like English, but it's really not, because when you say, in English, we will say like, that dog is brown, but in ASL, you say like, brown dog. It kind of sounds ridiculous, but it's like different when you're signing. And it's like a whole other culture and everything, and people don't realize, people don't think there will be another culture for just for deaf people, but there really is.
Learning sign language for me and my family was very important to have a relationship with our daughter. Without that, we will not be able to know what she wants, to know how she feels, to know what troubles her mind. Learning the language, it started within months after we found out that she was deaf.
They are more visual learners than most of their peers. I think they have more theatrical, that's my kids' personalities.
My friends think about the ability to sign. They think it's pretty cool, but I don't know. I don't think they really realize the whole like culture and everything, but I'm not really gonna explain it to them.
Some CODAs are very proud of helping their family. They don't feel like it's been a problem. Other CODAs feel that they've been really stuck with a lot of interpreting and maybe their parents' attitude and not being flexible and listening to the kid if the kid was really ready to interpret in that situation versus other situations, kind of leaving them alone or finding another way to handle the communication. So a lot of it's complicated. Because most CODA kids have maybe brothers and sisters that they talk to. And just like in other, bilingual families, you'll see that the parents may speak, one language, and then they have their kids here in the States who may grow up speaking English to each other, and there's sort of two worlds in the same house, which is about 90% of the deaf community come from these kinds of families.
When a hearing child, is born into a deaf family, they are pretty much automatically bicultural and bilingual, and they have access to both cultures and both languages, which is such a rich experience.
Whenever I go into a coffee place or whatever and I'm started signing my mom or I interpret for my mom, a lot of people stare, but I'm kind of used to it. It's kind of funny though.
So it's very common for hearing children of deaf parents when they become a teenager that they really are struggling, kind of, feeling they want to be with their hearing friends, and if they have two deaf parents, they kind of want them to go away.
She had a hard time in 6th grade when she went into middle school. She felt that people did not see her mother and herself as whole. They saw her, oh, your mom has a hearing loss? Instead of saying, oh, I see your mom's wonderful, or what a great mom, or, she'd invite her friends over to come to our house, and now they always want to come over, but at the time, it took time for her to show her friends, this is my mom, this is my dad.
A lot of people don't understand the deaf culture, and they don't get why we need an interpreter so bad. They think that I can just interpret for my parents, but it's not that easy. One time my brother was out late, so the cops came to my house, and we told them to hire an interpreter, but they didn't, because we couldn't find one at like that hour. So I had to interpret like the whole entire night from about 9 to like 1 in the morning.
I wanted to tell Jessica to just go, don't worry about it. But I couldn't send her away and close the door. So it was a very awkward family dynamic situation.
Often it's the oldest child will interpret because they were here first and they have more experience. But the second, third, and fourth often will take over when the older brothers and sisters leave, graduate, go to college, or out into the world.
A lot of kids at my school have to have parent-teachers meetings and all that, but I always have to have an interpreter, and I kind of hate it because my mom, like the whole deaf community is really close and everyone knows each other. So the interpreter that my parents hire, or the school hires, whatever, most of the time they know my parents and they know me and they're kind of like a family friend. And to have them like be there when this whole like school meeting's happening and all that, it's kind of almost embarrassing. Like I don't want people I know to be interpreting, but I can't really do anything about it. And other kids don't really have to go through that because they don't have to have an interpreter because they don't have deaf parents.
Not every movie is published with open captions. You have to ask them in person when you go to buy a ticket, and it's ask them, do you have a closed caption movie here at the theater?
One challenge I think that we have is the attitude that the hearing have to the deaf. It's called autism.
Autism, AUDISM. It's a powerful word, and really, the deaf community is struggling with that. Autism is oppression of deaf people. We want to resolve autism and get rid of depression and help people understand that deaf people have an identity, and we're deaf-centered, and we have culture.
You guys, listen, pay attention. This, when you have lloviendo, it's always a star. This is a sentence.
Oh yes, mainstream system has been great. It's been helpful to me. And I feel like a normal student. I'm involved with both worlds, the hearing students and the deaf students, and I feel equal.
We have 45 deaf students, which is a pretty large program. We're kind of in the middle. Total communication, we use signing and we voice and we do listening. We have a lot of speech services and listening services and things like that.
It's no different other than having an interpreter. And it's made me realize that some things I need to go back and explain a little bit differently because, I don't know, things you pick up in voices and stuff maybe they can't hear. And it's good. It's really good.
At school, I usually hang out with the deaf kids. But during class, I socialize with, well, sometimes I have deaf friends in class with me. And I also have my hearing friends that I hang out with. All my friends pretty much understand me, and they just get used to the way I speak and the way I use my voice. And it's getting easier and easier for me. But with my deaf friends, it's so easy because we all sign and we can communicate with one another. So it's almost the same for me in both situations, but they are very different worlds.
What do I hope for my daughter? Ooh, that's loaded because she's a female. She's bilingual. My want for her is that she has joy in her life. That she finds her place. I just want her to be happy. And that she finds joy and that she finds her place in life where she feels she can be herself 100%. It's so simple, but it is a challenge to find that in life today, in today's society.
You want to make sure you understand and you know what they want, you know what they need. You want to be able to tell them, I love you, in the language they speak, through their hands, through their eyes.
I have no idea what I'm going to do when I grow up, but I definitely still want to have like deaf culture in me. Like I want to teach my kids I want to teach my kids about deaf culture and have them know sign language and have them be experienced and just experience the whole culture and the language.
I really would like to be attending a college where I can pursue my sports. That's one of my big goals, is to be involved in sports at a hearing university or hearing college, hopefully. That's my goal. And get a regular job like a normal hearing person does. Start a family and be part of the real world where hearing people and deaf people get along, and I face those challenges every day. A place where a future where I'm going to be able to speak with anyone and not be scared and be able to communicate. and have that equality in both worlds where everyone is the same.